Okay, Mike, this is the big reveal.
You
Allie
ready?
just got a haircut, and I've seen it over pictures, but I haven't seen it in person. Oh my god, you look so good!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Allie,
I'm Sarah.
and we've got not as much to talk about as last week, but still a damn lot.
We did expect to have WSL today. We do not, for obvious reasons, but we have a wild NWSL weekend to talk about, which I'm very excited to talk about.
Yes. Firstly, I would like to point out I was right. No.
I didn't say it was going to be a bad game. But you did correctly assess that maybe Washington had a little more left in them than I thought that they were going to. So if you haven't guessed yet, listeners, we're going to talk Washington Spirit versus San Diego Wave because we just have to. And we've got a really exciting interview with none other than
ex-Washington Spirit player Brooke Hendrix, who has just signed for Reading this season. So we caught up with her about her exploits playing in America, in Australia, back in the WSL. So it's a really cracking interview.
Washington Spirit versus San Diego Wave. 4-3 win for Washington Spirit coming in. I think it was like the 100th minute. There was only supposed to be 7 minutes of extra time, but it was the 100th minute penalty kick. I mean, let's just dive right in. Contrary to what has been happening to Washington Spirit this entire season, they put a graphic up during the game. I believe it was 6 or 7 games where they had lost on a goal, conceded a goal in the last 10 minutes of the game for it was 6 give or take games this entire season. Washington Spirit won in like a full circle moment against the number 1 seed San Diego Wave 4-3. What made you call this game before we really talk about this game?
I called this game for the sheer fact, that's what I said. She said, I don't think you could count Washington out.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew what this game meant. They had to win. They had to get those 3 points if they wanted to hang on to playoff places. They just had to. And they are defending champions. And I just don't think you could have called them out. And I think I knew it was going to be a cracker of a game. Did I know it was going to be like this? Absolutely not. But I knew it was definitely going to be one of the more exciting ones.
You said it. Washington Spirit, you look at their lineup and that you can't count them out. We're going to talk about that Rodman, Sanchez, Hatch trio in a moment. But you mentioned Washington Spirit had to win this game. They would have been out of playoff contention had they not. And now there's some chatter because Washington Spirit are, as you say, impossible to count out. And they did make it far in the Challenge Cup this year. They are the defending full season champions from last year. And there's talent on that roster. They basically have to win out their games in order to make the playoffs, to even have a shot at making the playoffs. Can they win out their games? Are they about to go do this?
I think so. I genuinely think so. Like, they're going to have their internationals back in time for these games, right? So
internationals are back. Yeah, they're already back. They're here.
Yeah, their games are back. And so we've already talked about the great Andy Sullivan. We've already talked about Rodman and Hatch and things like that. They have got those key players back. They're the ones that they needed, and we saw it in this game. So yeah, I do think Washington can do it. Watch it now, they won't, because I've said they will, but I have faith that they will. I don't know why I'm backing Washington so much, but I am.
Yeah, it's hard to not root for them when you look at how they played against the Wave with so much heart. Washington was 1-10-6 going into this game. 1-10-6, not something we would have ever expected from Washington. And this game was absolutely just wild. So let's talk about Washington first, because they dominated the first half, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're going to annoy each other because we're going to agree. But yeah, the first half was all Washington.
Well, I will say, so San Diego obviously scored first, got on the board first, and they did control the first 5 minutes of the game. But the first 5 minutes of the game were very different than the rest of the game. And from there on out, Washington had a hold on San Diego for that first 45 minutes. what did they do? San Diego is not a bad team. They're a strong tactical team, and they were making adjustments from the sideline from Casey Stoney as well, as we all were seeing. What was Washington doing to break down San Diego?
Do you know what? I think it was just that direct play that we haven't quite seen from Washington for a while. But you take, for example, the second goal. They had so many players up. The fact it was scored by a defender. And San Diego just sort of scrambled it. They couldn't quite clear it. And then they weren't marking the defense. Again, I don't know if they thought Brooks was not a threat. And also Sheridan didn't even try to go for that goal. But Sheridan is another topic.
Are you talking about the second goal or the third goal?
Brooks is first, the second goal.
Yeah.
So it was just that literally straight shot into the bottom left-hand corner.
It was a little toe poke, really, is what it was. To be fair, Sheridan's view was blocked. And Brooks was very intelligent in what she did, because she would not have put that on frame had she gone for the full shot. She knew she only had time to just get a toe on it. And those toe pokes are really hard to defend because you don't know where they're going sometimes. It's just a quick toe poke, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's what you're saying. No, so it's Washington were, I think, clever. Do I think that San Diego sort of counted them out? Maybe. They did in the first, they got their goal in 7 minutes and they're like, right, this is going to plan. Then they equalized within 3 minutes of them getting the goal. And that wasn't part of San Diego's plan. And I think that rattled them a bit. Whereas I think Washington was always going to go on the offensive. They were always, I think that's why they conceded later on. And we'll talk about the second half in a minute. They were always going to go on the offensive.
Yeah.
And that's how they rattled them for those next 2 goals.
I agree with some, I disagree with other. What I love about San Diego is that I don't think that they are ever rattled. I don't think Casey Stoney is ever rattled. And I don't think that the players on the field are ever rattled. They're frustrated, maybe, for example, in this game, because Washington was able to execute their game plan, and it was at San Diego's expense. Obviously, San Diego's game plan was not to sit back on defense. I think what Washington executed really well was the pressure that they applied, like you were saying, but specifically targeting the weak side on San Diego. And I have to call out, I'm going to call out a lot of names that had great games here, but San Diego's back line, their 2 center backs are Naomi Girma, who is all-star, young talent, being called into the U.S. women's national team, just so smart in her positioning and a core of their back line. And then Real. And Real was being targeted by Washington. And it was smart of them because they were targeting the weak side, and San Diego simply couldn't clear the ball. It was when you go back to basics, sometimes when that pressure's applied, San Diego was just unable to fully clear the ball, and Washington was just shoving it right back down their throats, targeted at Real. And that's what was happening.
Do you think Sheridan could have done better? Because I think Sheridan could have done better.
No, I really don't. You look at who Washington is throwing at them. You're trying to stop Ashley Hatch, defending Golden Boot winner for the NWSL, Trinity Rodman, Ashley Sanchez. For what Washington was throwing at Sheridan, I think it was more of a breakdown in the defense as a whole, and that includes Sheridan, the back line and goalkeeper. But I wouldn't blame Sheridan, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't blame her, but I do think she could have done better. I don't think it was a great game for her. I think, yes, some of the goals she was blocked visually by her defenders, but there are other ones where I'm like, you could have got that. You could have tried at least.
I didn't see that, but I might be blinded because I do have a soft spot for Sheridan, but I really think it was a wonderful execution of a strategy from Washington Spirit with an interim head coach who really seems to have lit a fire under them in some way, I have to just say.
So we talked about what went right for them. What do you think went wrong for them in the second half?
I don't think it's what went wrong for Washington whatsoever. Washington still maintained a good amount of possession in the second half. It was still relatively even in the second half. I thought that they really controlled the game still. Yeah, not to take your question and turn it, but I think I think it's not what went wrong with Washington. It's what went right with San Diego Wave. And what happened, I think, is, first of all, Casey Stoney was able to get her midfield more involved in the attack and get her forwards more involved on defense. And that's it. You saw Alex Morgan and Shaw and Turnbow coming back on defense to defend. And I just want to spend a moment on Shaw. She is a teenager, and she played outstanding outstanding out there on the wing for San Diego.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't realize how young she was until I was like Googling during the match. And I was like, wow, like, wow. Because I knew she was young. I didn't realize she was that young.
That first goal that she scored was a jaw dropper. Wow. I just want to shout her out. It was, and I want to shout out all of the forwards because they spent a lot of time in the first half dropping back and playing defense. And really what turned around in the second half was they got the momentum with Alex Morgan's penalty kick in the 57th minute. They got the momentum and they were back in the game and they just started rolling with it. I think that there's a really big difference between going into halftime being down 3-1 and then getting that next goal and all of a sudden you're 1 goal away.
That was a crazy like move by Washington to concede that penalty. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed watching Alex Morgan roll over. But
it was a legit foul.
Oh, no, no.
I'm really worried because she sold it that people are going to be like, that's not a foul. That was a tough
No.
foul.
It was violent. No. I'm not, because I did watch it to just double check. And I was like, no, that was violent. So I don't know what they were thinking going in that hard, because I know they're trying to stop her, but then you're going to concede a penalty because where you are.
Well, I think it was Amber Brooks who went in that hard. And I think she literally just wasn't aware of where Alex Morgan was in the vicinity in relation to her. It was a 50-50 ball. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Maybe she was like, let's just hope for the best here. I don't know. But yeah, Alex Morgan tucked it away. Can we talk about Amber Brooks for 1 second?
I was going to say, let's talk about Brooks. I'm in love with Brooks.
Yeah.
She's like my new favorite at the moment. I'm in love with her.
Why are you in love with her?
Because she's got the attitude that we've talked about that we like. Okay. I'm going to call it now. She's the American Katie McCabe. Yes. Like
I just did the 2 middle fingers.
Yeah, flipping off when she won. She's now unfortunately sitting out for the next game because she got another yellow, I believe, for that foul on Morgan. But she's got that spirit that we talk about that we want in a player. She is the American Kate McCabe, and I can't wait to see what she does. I'm so excited.
So Washington takes it in the 100th minute. Finally, maybe the tale is beginning to reverse itself, where Washington has conceded in the last 10 minutes of the game and ended up losing or tying for the last 16 games. They hadn't won a game in 16 games that had happened. And all of a sudden the tale reverses itself. So why has this been happening to Washington Spirit? Because we know what they're capable of. They just showed us against the number 1 team.
I don't know. I want to say, can you blame behind the scenes issues that seem to be, going on? We've seen, like you said,
you have to say what, like that. They're you can't say that they don't. I guess is what it is. Lots of coaching changes and
lots of injuries to key players.
And back comes the question, in my opinion, of the Challenge Cup, frankly. And if you look at Washington Spirit's schedule, we talked about this when the Challenge Cup was happening. Washington Spirit was playing the Challenge Cup, and they made it into the late enough rounds that they were playing both the Challenge Cup and the start of their regular season. And they were playing 3 games in a week. And you have to ask yourself, if specifically on a team where there are a lot of internationals, you combine the burnout of international and NWSL play with the burnout of where you kicked off the start of the season already being tired, if that has just like come together in like confluence basically of this perfect storm that has led to Washington just simply not being able to finish games, maybe. I don't know, tired legs or what it is. But back to the first question we posed, I think that this is really exciting because I think they're very capable of winning out these games. I really do.
They've got 2 really tough games, one fairly tough game, and no offense, Sarah, but 1 walkover.
Hey now. Excuse me. Gotham, when they lose, it's always a tight loss, okay? Yeah, so who does Washington have to close out the season?
Gotham, Angel City, Kansas, and then finding out with the Dash.
I mean, as with the NWSL, everything's winnable. It's going to be a wild ride for these last 4 to 5 games, depending on what team you're looking at. So right now, Washington Spirit is sitting in 10th out of 12th place. With the loss, San Diego moved down to 3rd because we just have to call it because this is so tight, everybody. From 1st to 6th, so the top 6 teams, as we know, make the playoffs. From 1st to 6th, it's a difference of 5 points. And Washington right now is sitting 11 points behind sixth place. So they truly need to win out everything. And it would be the climb of climbs if this happened.
Yep, no, absolutely. But San Diego have only got 3 games left. They've got the hometown derby of San Diego and Angel City.
It's going to be a blast. It's sold out at San Diego Stadium. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, then they've got Orlando Pride and then North Carolina Courage, who have been a bit hit and miss this season. So they could put a sting in the tail, or they could just thwomp.
Oh, I love the NWSL. It is truly, truly still anybody's match. And with the games in hand that some teams have, we really don't know how this is going to fall. Let's go around the world, over to Mexico. La Liga MX continues to be one of the tastiest leagues to watch. America topped the league after a 2-1 win. Pachuca jumped to third with a thumping 6-1 win over Tijuana.
Over to France now. The French league kicked off this weekend with some outstanding results. Lyon won 5-1 over Reims. Both the Paris teams won 2-0, and a thrilling game saw Bordeaux take Le Havre 4-2.
Over to Spain. A delayed start to Spain's season as games were pulled due to the referee strike. Bizarrely, teams were made to walk onto the pitch for games they knew would be postponed.
And finally to Ireland, Wexford Youth have leapfrogged Shelbourne after a mammoth win over Cork City. Shelbourne themselves suffered a 1-0 defeat to Piedmont. The final weeks are really hotting up to see who will take the title.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
And for a new segment for the Women's Soccer Show, we have got an interview with a wonderful player who is currently playing for Reading and the WSL. Her name is Brooke Hendrix. She has played in 8 different countries, both professionally and semi-professionally, and we had a wonderful chat with her about her return to the WSL, her love of playing more physical football, and also of the strange foods that she was made to eat when over in the East End. Everybody give it up for Brooke Hendrix!
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being on. Post-training, just so everybody knows, it's been a very long day for you, Brooke, and we very much appreciate you being on after what seems like it's been 12 hours, I think you said.
Pretty close to it, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And you two have a very fun background.
Yeah, I was going to say, so, I don't know if you know this, Sarah, but I'm kind of a West Ham fan, which, Brooke, you played for us for the first, was it 2 seasons you were with us, 2 and a bit?
Season and a half. So I left halfway to go to Washington Spirit.
But of course you played in our most important game, which was our FA Cup final. So come on, give me the tea. Some of the best moments playing for my beloved Hammers.
As savage as it is to say, the semifinal game to get into the FA Cup final against Reading. Sorry, Reading fans. It was definitely a highlight. I will admit that Reading probably should have won that game.
Would you have admitted that if you weren't playing for Reading currently? Is my biggest question here.
Honestly, yes. Because they missed a PK in the game, which Farah never misses. And then there's just other chances that they should have scored. We were defending for our lives. One PK hit a bump and went over the goalie's, for us, went over their goalie's hand, on the ground and hit a bump. One of them slipped and a PK completely missed it. So it was crazy. It was just us in the final.
I have not seen that game, and it makes me want to go back and watch it. That's wild.
I tried a bicycle in that game. Didn't go well, but it was a very entertaining game.
I have one final West Ham question, and then I will leave it alone. Do you actually miss Romford? Because you guys lived in not the greatest part of thing, and were you subjected to great East London cuisines such as pie and mash and jelly deals? Because I know Jilly made Julia and Alicia eat it.
Yes, I was also given that one time. It was
Given that.
It looks really gross when you look at it, but it actually tastes pretty good.
What is it?
I'll let you explain it, Allie. I will butcher it.
So it's pie, but like pastry pie, mash and liquor. And liquor is not alcohol, it's parsley sauce, and traditionally it's made with the juice from the eels. It goes back to like Victorian England thing. Okay. I actually had it as my wedding breakfast. When we did the legal bit, we had pie and mash afterwards. Wow. So we're going to actually talk about other teams, because you have played for other teams other than West Ham. In fact, when Googling, if Wikipedia is right, you have played in over 6 different countries. How does that differ from going from, like, say, Italy to Iceland and then Scotland as well, because you were at Rangers for some point? And
yeah, I think it's actually really cool because all the different places have had like a different football culture, soccer culture, Americans, and I feel like I got to learn a little bit, like something new at each place. Like, for example, the Italians are like super passionate and they really love like skills and just like playing how they feel, and they just, whatever happens, and they just, like, you'll see people do like crazy scissor kicks in games, like out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And then they die by it, and it's like they'll go up, like there's like, the fans are crazy, they're awesome, love the fans from Italy. And then like Iceland, they're like, I don't know, like the typical like Vikings, right? So then you're just like, it's like hard hitting game, like pretty like brutal, pretty quick, like fast paced as far as like getting up and down, and it's like not as pretty football, but it's really entertaining because it's just like head to head, you're going for it, both teams. Yeah, so it's just like really cool. Like every single place has had something different. Scotland was tough for me, I won't lie. I liked it
because you couldn't understand them.
I couldn't understand her. And I worked at Subway because it wasn't professional yet. So
oh my goodness.
So I wasn't professional at Rangers technically. Now they're professional. So I worked at Subway every morning, and then after I worked there, I would go to practice and whatever else. Never had a clue. Like the school kids would come in and get their lunch, and I was just like, there's like a massive line, and it was just like one after the next, and I'm like, I have no clue what you're saying. You're talking to me about gherkins. I don't even know what a gherkin is. Figured it out. It's a pickle. Everyone. Okay. Yeah.
Didn't know.
So it took me a second, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a dumb American. You gotta talk slower and tell me what a gherkin is.
Yeah.
And I will put it on your sandwich. Yeah.
I cannot believe you're at Subway while you're playing for the Rangers. You're working at Subway.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, actually. I walked in, I was like, hey, y'all have any jobs? She's like, yeah, you can work tomorrow. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Excellent.
See you tomorrow.
Free sandwich before practice. Let's do it.
Yeah, actually I did. Perfect. Fuel me up. Let's go.
Gherkins.
Exactly.
We're talking about, like playing in different places, and obviously Allie's in England. I'm in the US, and we cover leagues all around the world on the podcast. We're really pumped by La Liga MX, which we have been for a few years, but we talk a lot about NWSL as compared to WSL, not in like a competitive way, just in terms of how they differ. So as somebody who's played in both of the leagues, how would you say NWSL and WSL are most different, and maybe how are they alike as well?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. And like I do think those two leagues have been the best leagues I've played in so far, as far as like just consistent quality across the whole league. I think I mentioned a little bit earlier about England being a little bit more tactically based and more rooted in like playing the beautiful game, as far as like the motion, it's more fluid and stuff. And whereas America's definitely more transition based. And like, as you can see, it's just like, pew, 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 like you might get whiplash watching a little bit.
Totally.
In the NWSL, which is really cool because you get to see such like athleticism from people and just like power and strength and all that. And I think NWSL is like a really fun league to play in and be a part of. But I think that WSL is a little bit more of the appreciation for the beautiful game, as everyone calls it.
So we are going to do a really fun segment that we love to do called Shirts of Our Lives, or for our US people, Jerseys of Our Lives. Brooke, you know what's going to happen. We're going to ask you 3 questions, and you're just going to, off the cuff, think of what jersey represents like certain moments and certain moments.
This jersey is like I've worn, like my
that you've worn. Anything from like your first like micro soccer, pre-K, whatever jersey to the current Reading shirt that just came in off of the ship.
Off the ship. I got it from Italy. It's fine.
Just got it.
Cool. So I'm going to kick us off with, what shirt symbolizes the beginning of your footballing journey?
All right. I'm going to have to go with the Supersonics
Nice.
was my U8 team. We won the championship. Pretty big deal. Small town, doesn't matter. We crushed it.
Nice.
Like my dad was my coach, and like all my family friends were my coaches. We were all just like a little community, and we went undefeated. And it really just like sparked my like love for the game. I was like, I'm never gonna not play soccer.
One of those moments where it's like you're 7 years old, but this is the biggest moment. Every game is really competitive. You're like, we're the best team in the world right now.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, no one's beating us. The end. Still have the trophy.
Nice. Walking with some swag. You're like, this is my most prized possession. This trophy. So.
In my room. Here it is. Yep.
Well, what did this jersey look? Was it like green nylon 90s style situation?
Essentially, it was really close. So we had our home kit was blue nylon.
Okay.
With some, like, yellow bits on it, right?
Nice.
And then the away was yellow with blue.
That is some fancy stuff for an 8-year-old soccer. You had a home and away kit.
Home and away, yeah. Also, it's fine. We had the same shorts though. They were for both.
Okay.
I don't know how that worked, but it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Because it is U8. We can't go too overboard.
We can do too much. And like we had the same logo as Arsenal because we were the Cannons, Coweta Cannons, like our club. And so I thought I was a part of Arsenal. I was like, yeah, I play for Arsenal. So now, like, obviously I support Arsenal because I used to play for them. Yeah.
Of course. They were actually your first club.
They were my first club. Casual.
All right. So what shirt symbolizes the turning point in your career?
Probably my Italian shirt, Brescia, just because that was like the moment I really felt like I like turned into like a real pro, I guess you should say. Like it kind of like escalated my career a little bit. Because that's where I played Champions League, and which was amazing, by the way. It was such a cool experience.
I was just going to ask, how is it to play Champions League?
Oh, it's so cool. We made it past Ajax and then lost to Montpellier, but it's fine. Details. We were still there. They played the song when you walk out, like the Champions League song, which is like, I was like, and when I first played, I was like shocked. I was like, no way.
Yeah, like this only happens on TV, right? I thought
I thought it was just on my speaker.
Yeah.
No, they played in real life. And I kind of got like a little bit of, I won't say revenge, but kind of like a little bit. Like, so I went on trial at Ajax before I even went to Rangers, and they didn't turn me down necessarily, but they said like if I wanted to get playing time and stuff like that and like be in a team, I should go somewhere else. So I did. Ended up long way around, went to Italy, played against Ajax in our first round of Champions League, and we got past them. So
that's awesome.
Cool,
that
right?
is definitely a good revenge story.
It was, and they were really good, and we still made it past. It was cool. It was really cool.
I love that. I mean, as cheesy as it is, people need to hear that kind of stuff because people get turned down from teams every day, and it can feel so defeating in that moment. It can feel like the end of the world.
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh man, I'm never gonna play pro. And then a couple years later, here I am playing against them, and then we ended up winning. And I was like, wow.
Okay, and our final question in Shirts of Our Lives is, what shirt symbolizes your proudest moment or biggest success in football?
Proudest moment or biggest success? That is tough. I might have to do a split shirt. Is that fine?
Yes.
Half would be the West Ham shirt at the FA Cup final, because that's just an accomplishment of like playing at the home of football. It's just unmatched. But like we also lost that game, so like that's a little bit tarnished.
Yeah.
So on the other half, it would be my Melbourne victory shirt that we in Australia. We just won the playoffs after. So we were doing pretty poorly. We turned it around the second half of the season, and then we tied for fourth with another team, but we got through on goal differential.
Oh.
So already snuck in. Okay, so then we're fourth place. So
people are discounting you. They're like, this is not going to happen.
Yeah, no, they're never going to do it, whatever, right? So we're fourth place, and how this worked is like 1 and 2 play against each other. Okay, 3 and 4 play.
That's what I thought was weird.
Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense once you start going. So the winner of this game goes to the championship.
Right.
1 and 2. The loser has to play against the winner of this game, and then the loser of this game is just out. So we won this game against the third place team, and then we had to play the second place team, and then we beat them somehow. Then we went to the championship to play the first place team, and then beat them, and we were like, "What is happening?" We did it. It was awesome.
We were following that for the record. We like to follow the league, and we do a fun segment called Around the World where we cover if we're not talking about a specific game from that league, we'll just highlight what's been happening. So we were following the whole time. So unfortunately we did know the end of that story, but but it's still incredibly awesome. Yeah.
Cool, right? We had no business winning that, and we did, and it was awesome.
Awesome. Well, we have 2 closing questions that we ask everybody. One's more of like in-depth, think deeply, and one's just like a nice fun one. So we'll do the harder one first. When you're thinking through your soccer career, and this can be like on field or off field, I suppose. What's a good both and moment from your career where you both worked really hard and an opportunity came about that you were able to take advantage of because of your hard work?
Honestly, I'm going to have to go back to like playing against that Ajax story, because in that moment I realized like how far I had come. So it both showed me like how much work I had put in, but also showed me like I ended up playing against Ajax after all of that. And I felt like I was like you said, like it sucks when you don't make a team. And then full circle, I come around, I work really hard. I go through like my rings, I go through my time, and I end up playing against a team that rejected me and winning. And I was like, wow, I worked really hard for this, and God made a way for this to happen. And it was so cool. So that would be my book. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The odds of that happening are like, I don't know if you know the odds, but that's unreal for like me to come all around and then happen to play against Ajax. And Ajax had to like make it past the like, whatever, the rounds to get into the championship. So it was like unreal.
For it all to fall the way it did. That's pretty special.
Okay. And our final question, fun one, World Cup or Olympics?
Ooh, that's tough. Because I love the intensity of the World Cup and how it's just about football. And I can watch it all day. But Olympics has like track and field, has so many, like a variety. Like I can just sit on the couch and do nothing all day and just watch sports. So I'm gonna go Olympics, I think.
Nice.
Do you find yourself watching random sports? Because I found like in the last Olympics, I'm sat there watching like the beach volleyball or like the random archery shooting
Whatever's
thing.
on, I'm in. I'm like, wow, this is just incredible that these people can do this. Like, because I just think about how they must have put so much work into shooting an arrow at an object for like years of their life, or the cool stories where they're like, they started like yesterday and like, oh, I'm in the Olympics, and I'm like, what? Maybe I should try that. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have that same thought when they're like, this person started 2 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I got 4 years till the next Olympics.
Start practicing now.
Allie, you want to close it out with another West Ham question? You don't have to. You can just close it out.
I just want to say, like, that you have inspired so many West Ham fans to follow random teams. I have to say that because like all of my friends that like stayed up to watch the Melbourne victory game that
Really?
suddenly were Washington Spirit fans. And then I know Joe, who's the head of the fan club that I'm part of, bought a Racing Louisville shirt when you moved over because we just wanted you back. Like you were our favorite like defender, and we felt like we couldn't give you a proper send-off because you left in that bit between Christmas and New Year. So
like
we couldn't, but you were definitely a fan favorite, and so that's what I want. I want to leave it on that because you have inspired many West Ham fans to pick a second team in various leagues.
I really appreciate y'all. Y'all have been like some of the best fan base I've ever experienced, and it's been. It doesn't go unnoticed, the support that y'all give me and other players. It's incredible.
Thank you so much, Brooke. This was a blast. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. It's so fun.
No problem. And everybody go watch Brooke play at Reading in the WSL this season. Let's go.
And if people want to follow you, where can they follow you on socials?
Instagram is what I use most, I think. So Brooke Hendrix _. I think I'm really boring with that. And yeah, that should be easy enough. I have a Twitter, terrible at Twitter, sorry.
All right.
And then Facebook's kind of like, working its way out. So we'll just go Instagram.
Totally.
How about that?
Perfect. And whoever has Brooke Hendrix without _, let Brooke know. Not cool. All right. Thanks so much, Brooke. Thanks everybody for joining us this week. We'll be back, of course, next Wednesday. As always, head over to our Patreon account for extra content, fits and kits, news in 10, full interviews. If you want the unedited, unabridged version of that interview, for example, head on over to our Patreon account. For the Women's Soccer Show, I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.